What's up and welcome back to the Kinda Funny Screencast. Of course, I'm Tim Geddes and I'm joined by the sad boy himself, Barrett Courtney.
Hello there.
And making his return from Star Wars Celebration itself, the one and only Anthony Carboni.
It's great to be back on the path, Tim.
Oh, it's great to have you back on the path. I can't believe we've went 3 episodes so far of Star Wars Obi Wan Kenobi, and we haven't even got a hint at what you think about it.
I love it. What a good show.
I can't wait to get into all of the details.
What a great television series.
How was it at Star Wars Celebration?
It was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. I had the best time. I think, this was the first event that a lot of people had gone to in over 2 years, and so there was just a great vibe. The crowd was wonderful. All of the people were wonderful. It was great to talk to the cast and just see how jazzed they were to have all this stuff coming out. And you can't beat it, man. You can't beat a Star Wars celebration.
Hell yeah. Of course, this is the Kinda Funny Screencast where each and every week we get together to talk about the latest in TV, movies, and trailers. You can get it on youtube.com/kindafunny or roosterteeth.com. You can also get it as a podcast by searching your favorite podcast service for the Kinda Funny Screencast, and we'll be right there for you. If you wanted to get the show ad-free and watch live as we record it, you got to go to patreon.com/kindafunny, just like our Patreon producers, Gordon McGuire, Molecule, and Fargo Brady have done. Today, we're brought to you by MeUndies, but I'll tell you about that later. If you have any interest in pop culture entertainment, you got to go to youtube.com/kindafunny because we got reviews of Miss Marvel up. We got a Black Adam trailer reaction coming soon. We got weekly Kenobi like you're seeing right now. In the past couple of weeks, we've been doing them with Sage. And hopefully for the rest of the show, we'll be doing it with this group of people plus Sage. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We have our Stranger Things Volume 4 Part 1 review up. And we're going to continue doing a whole bunch of other stuff.
The boys.
That's what we do here. And the boys, yes. Oh, what a time to be alive. And then on the Kinda Funny game side of things are popping off incredibly insanely as well because it is Summer Game Fest. So twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. Watch us react to all the conferences and showcases live. And then youtube.com/kindafunnygames for all of the VODs and previews of stuff that we're going to talk about, as well as all of our different social platforms, Kinda Funny Vids, Kinda Funny Games. Check them out. A lot of content coming out from us. It's going to be a great time. It is going to be a blast for everyone involved. But enough about all of that. Today, we got to talk about Star Wars, Obi Wan Kenobi, Episode 4. But before we do that, Carboni, I just want your overall thoughts on the show so far.
So far, I've really been loving it. I think it is one of the best things that we've gotten from new Star Wars, particularly on Disney Plus. I think every series has a lot to do now to kind of run alongside The Mandalorian, which I think is doing everything so perfectly. But I've been loving all of the takes on these characters. I've been loving seeing where they are. Little Leia just is like, every episode just destroys my heart. I love little Leia, and I just they're surprising me every week in ways that I thought I would not be surprised by this story. Like, you think you know where they're going, and then they're like, but what if we try this? Like, even from episode 1 where they fake you out, where it's like, and now protect Luke. It's like, nah, we know what Luke is doing until he's 16 years old. What's Leia up to? Every single thing they've been doing has been wonderful. We've talked before about how much we love the sort of broadening of the galaxy. I love Daya. I love Daya as a location. I love that we're seeing more of the Star Wars underworld. I love that we're seeing more about how things go. I love that we've got fake Jedi faith healers, and we've made that canon. Like, people who are like, oh no, I'm a Jedi, but you can't tell anybody I'm a Jedi, and I'll save you. You give me your like literal faith healers pretending to be Jedi out in the galaxy. There are a lot of really fun, and then of course we've got this sort of Holocaust resistance / underground railroad thing where we've been asking for years. We know that they're out there. How are they staying out there? How are they staying safe? What's going on with all of these Jedi? They're not all pretending to be sushi chefs and construction workers. How are they staying out there and staying safe? And I love seeing this idea of you can't extinguish the light of the Jedi. There are too many people helping them. There have been a lot of fun, and I think Vader's scarier than he's ever been. Vader is just terrifying now. I love that every new director that takes on Star Wars is like, if I get a shot or a scene with Vader in it, I better make sure Vader is scary and cool. Like I better everything from like when Gareth using him in Rogue One all the way up till now, it's like even in Rebels Vader was scary. And I love that. Like I love how intense and how seriously we're taking Darth Vader as like the boogeyman of the galaxy.
Yeah,
So I've been
totally.
having a lot of fun, and I want a Lola droid, but that's just because I love batteries not included.
Barrett, what did you think about episode 4?
I posed the question last week, right at the when we talked about the end of last week's episode about Leia kind of getting captured again, and kind of my worry of like, all right, we're kind of going into a loop, possibly this episode, and I wonder how much is going to be done with that. I wonder if there's going to be enough kind of like character moments and development that was going to distract me from the possible distract me from like the kind of like puppet mastering that you kind of see through, that you try to see through and suspend your disbelief, especially when it comes to storytelling structure. And I don't know if I got that this week. I'm gonna be honest. I felt like we were kind of in a loop. There were some fun action, some fun moments here and there. Enough of an excuse to really show off the Fortress Inquisitorius, but like not enough to distract me of like, all right, this episode was just saving Leia again, and now where we're at the end of this episode isn't super far off from where we were at like an episode and a half ago. Again, there was little things here that developed, but I think those could have been done in a different way to still, progress the plot at least a little bit in interesting ways. There wasn't enough for me this week to really distract from the, we got to go back and save Leia again kind of stuff, which I knew we were going to get this week, but, I'm all for kind of retreading ground if it services more character dynamic and growth and stuff like that. And I didn't get it, but there's still a lot of fun stuff here and there to talk about for sure.
I really enjoyed this episode, and I might go as far as saying it's been my favorite episode of the series so far, but I almost feel that is indicative of how I think of the series overall, which is this being my favorite. I still don't think it's that strong because it feels very derivative of Star Wars as a whole, and even this show so far. Like I'm right there with Barrett, where it does kind of feel like we're going through these loops over and over. This loop of saving Leia felt the most traditional Star Wars, so I think I found a lot of joy in that, of just seeing Kenobi.
It felt very Death Star, where they literally save Leia in A New Hope kind of stuff.
It feels like Death Star, but it also, I got a lot of prequel vibes of episode 1, even of like the opening scene of Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan going through the Trade Federation ship, and kind of sneaking around, facing off against the droids, using the sabers to deflect the laser shots, and even him kind of swimming with the breathing apparatus and all that stuff to get into it. Like, and getting the Fortress Inquisitorius that we've seen in Jedi Fallen Order and seeing it come to life, like it's a great set piece. And I thought that there was like a lot of cool things that felt very authentically Star Wars. Seeing Obi-Wan deflect all the stuff, I thought was thrilling and engaging, and something that it felt like a video game come to life. And I mean that as a compliment. Like I really dug a lot of that stuff, but there were still elements that, 4 episodes into this 6-episode event, that I just kind of feel like they're playing things very slow, which is good in some ways character wise, but I think plot wise, we're going in circles in a way that's kind of playing the greatest hits. And I feel like the more you do that, the less of a hit they are. So it's weird to say this is my favorite one, but also the one that I'm like kind of like least excited about what's happening next, because it kind of just feels like, okay, we're just being thrown into a conclusion. Having said that, though, I think this episode did the most for Reva that we've had. I've been liking her a lot, and I've been kind of waiting to see kind of a bit more depth from her and a bit more like unique personality that's not just, oh, I'm angry. And I feel like this one was just, oh, I'm angry turned up, but it worked for me in a way that it feels like there's at least a little bit more unique momentum to her character. And I am hoping that is the storyline that gets most kind of connected to Obi and Vader's kind of situation they have going on here.
Well, I think, I'm sorry, but I think, with Reva, I think they're saving here's the thing. I feel like they're saving a lot for reveals, right? Which you want to have your big reveals, you want to have your kind of big final 2 episodes. But I get what you're saying, and like what we're seeing a thing that we've seen in a lot of Star Wars media before, which is two people jockeying for either Vader's favor or the Emperor's favor, whoever is currently the Sith Lord in charge. The HSIC is what they're called.
Yes.
Whoever is in charge, they're trying to curry for their favor. When what we really want is we want to know if Reva was that youngling that we saw in the first shot of the first episode. We want to know why she hates Obi-Wan as much as Vader hates Obi-Wan. Like, we want the answers to these questions. And I don't think and I don't think all your reveals need to be in your last two episodes. I think the reveal of why Reva is so mad at Obi-Wan would have been a lovely thing to put in this episode. That said, as far as character development, I do like that we're seeing Obi-Wan kind of get his groove back here. You know, you talk about him kind of ping pang boom with like reflecting laser fire, and like, because we know how good he was at that in the prequels, it's fun to watch him getting those skills back. I think those first few that he deflected did not hit. You know what I mean? And then he was starting to hit them all, and I was like, there we go.
And then he like avoided one that hit somebody else and stuff like that. Yeah.
And you're like, oh, he's coming back. He's coming back. And then also, as far as character development, I think what we're seeing in this one, even though we're not seeing what we would consider the main plot, I think it's good to see the forming of the rebellion. It's good to see Tala and see what Tala's all about, who I think she's just crushing. It's like
incredible.
Every time Star Wars poaches somebody from Game of Thrones, it's like the best decision ever made. You know what I mean? Because she's killing it. And then to see these sort of like junior members of the path, which we know will become part of the rebellion, an important part of the rebellion, seeing like, oh shit, Wade's dead. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, it's a real battle now.
Wade,
and like,
man.
Poor Wade, pour one out for Wade and his T-47, man. He did his best. But like, if you think about sort of moving the galaxy forward, I think we did a lot of that in this episode. And so that made me happy.
Yeah, last two things I want to say just for my opening bit here that Barrett, I'll get to you in a sec, is one thing that I really liked about the episode and one thing that I was really kind of disappointed by. The thing that I really liked was Obi-Wan actually rescuing Leia with one of the most visually interesting Star Wars moments we've ever had. The lights turning off, just the red in the darkness, and you just see the blue lightsaber go on, killing a guy, switch over to the other guy, killing him.
I need every introduction to a lightsaber in every piece of Star Wars media to be in a dark room, because they do that same thing with Vader in Rogue One. Yep. Like, it's the coolest shit.
Why are we just now, between this and, like you're saying, Rogue One and new Star Wars media, why are we now just getting filmmakers who are like, lightsabers give off light? You can use light in a scene because we're shooting the scene with cameras. Come on!
Yeah,
That's so good.
I love it. I thought it was really well done, and it gave a level of Star Wars that I think is often missing from the Disney Plus shows. And I keep saying this. I hate saying things like that because I want to be able to look past the budget. I want to just believe, but I feel like they need to give moments like this that make me believe, no, this is as good as the movies. Otherwise, it does feel lesser than. This was a moment that didn't feel lesser than. This enhanced the entire experience. It made it extremely cool. The thing I didn't like, and I'm really disappointed by, Barrett kind of said something similar, but the way this episode ends not only feels derivative and kind of going in a loop of what we've had the last couple of weeks, but I think it was the worst version of it, where the cliffhanger of, oh, Lola has a tracker now, it's like not interesting. That is like storytelling from the 70s, 80s that like, yeah, like trackers are like it's as bad as characters finding out the plot from a news coverage. It's just like such a lazy thing to be the answer, especially when we just had this like pretty great prison break sequence, right, of the rescuing of Leia that ended with Obi-Wan not really doing anything to save the day. It was just random ships that came in and saved them. I didn't like that. I felt like with us gaining this Obi-Wan back, like I wanted him to be a little bit more in control. And this felt like quite literally the Deus Ex Machina type shit of like, oh yeah, out of nowhere, some people came and saved them. And I know that they showed us the building of the rebellion and stuff earlier, but I just think 4 episodes into this series, for it to end with Obi-Wan just getting saved by an external force, and then the the next follow-up to be, and the next episode they're being tracked again. I'm like, oh man, that is really not thrilling to me.
First of all, that external force is Maya Erskine from Pen 15, which is one of the
Show
great
some
shows.
fucking respect,
I
baby.
thought she looked familiar, and like I have not watched that
Erskine.
show, but like I see them everywhere. So,
but also, you know, I do think there is he's not powerful enough yet, or back in his groove yet enough to get them off that ship. And so I think it's okay that they flew in, especially since you're showing Ice Cube Jr. in the beginning. I'm so sorry, I forget his name, and I feel like thank you.
Jr.
I feel so horrible every time I call him Ice Cube Jr. But when you see him be like, I don't know if we should get involved. I don't know if this is our thing. And then you see them come in Act 3. Like I did enjoy that. I enjoyed that connection. It didn't feel as Deus Ex Machina to me, just because they had done the come on, please help us.
For me, like I'm with you. Like they had done enough setup, especially in like the understanding the time that we're in 10 years after episode 3. There's still a lot of trepidation about like actually making bold moves against the Empire. Like to me, that felt just earned enough where I wasn't thinking too much about that at the end, because again, for just talking about structural things, especially when these shows are at least between both Marvel and Star Wars shows on Disney Plus, when there's 6 episodes, I think of like each act, right? Like I think it's the first 2 is Act 1, the second 2 is Act 2, the last 2 is Act 3. And so like Obi not having that moment yet at the end of this episode, like personally worked for me, because it's not time yet. We're getting into the final act where he's going to get his moment. We got a little bit of the building blocks of him getting to that moment, but it's not quite time yet. It's a very reminiscent, I think, to what was it, last week's episode, where he turns on the lightsaber and it's kind of awkward at first, but that's kind of the point, and that that kind of stuff works for me.
Now that said, if at this point in the history of the galaxy you are not checking for trackers every time you get onto a new ship, like you gotta
deserve it.
If episode 5 does not start with them just being like boop boop, oh yeah, Lola's got a tracker.
Lola's bugged, man.
I'm gonna be a little like they better find that pretty quick.
Totally. Before we keep going, let me tell you about our sponsors.
Are people still trying to make plans with you this summer? As if you aren't booked and busy already. You're just gonna have to tell them to try again in the fall. You've got pool days, pride parades, bachelor parties, and beach vacations waiting for you, because when you're living your best life, the last thing you want to worry about is butt sweat. I'm Greg Miller, and my butt never sweats because I wear MeUndies. You've heard it a million times. I like MeUndies so much. With my first pair, I bought a whole bunch more and threw away the rest of my underwear. They're the best. MeUndies has the lightest, most breathable fabrics to keep you cool and comfortable wherever you go. From undies to bralettes to socks to loungewear to swimwear, you can find something for all your plans. MeUndies also releases new prints all the time, like their limited edition Pride collection. Find your ultimate summer comfort in sizes extra small to 4XL. MeUndies has a great offer for my listeners. For any first-time purchasers, you get 15% off. For a limited time, if you sign up for their free-to-join MeUndies membership, you get 25% off your first membership item. To get 15% off your first order, 25% off your first membership item, and 100% satisfaction guaranteed, go to MeUndies.com/KindaFunny. That's MeUndies.com/KindaFunny. No one likes waiting on a paycheck, especially when you've got bills due. Good thing there's Chime. Now you can get your paycheck up to 2 days earlier with direct deposit. That's up to 2 more days to save, pay bills, and generally just feel good about your money situation. But Chime is about more than just getting paid early. It's also an award-winning mobile app, checking account, debit card, and optional savings account. So what are you waiting for? Hopefully not your paycheck. Get started with Chime today. Applying for a free account takes less than 2 minutes. Get started at chime.com/KFgames. That's chime.com/KFgames. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Early access to direct deposit funds depends on your payer.
One thing that I want to bring up that I really enjoyed about this as well is this show continues to have an amazing support cast of characters. Like I feel like Kumail was amazing. Like Maya Erskine was awesome. And oh man, I forget her name, but the woman from Tala, the woman from Game of Thrones. Like I thought she was incredible. Like she's such a great addition to the Star Wars lore and this idea of the spies and the way that she is so capable of being that. I thought
yeah,
was
her back and forth with Reva near the end of the episode where she's still like trying to play the game where she's like, yeah, I was undercover and stuff like that, still working for you guys. And even Reva's like, you're lying, but I don't know who you're lying for and against, but I'm going to maybe keep you around. And like, I really loved that back and forth. She really shined in this episode.
I thought that was great. And I think they're doing a really good job. I would think a better job, unfortunately, with the supporting cast than they are with the what we all came to see, which is Obi Wan and Vader. But I am really excited about the kind of background stuff, the potential of the lore with this whole the Tomb of the Jedi. Like that is so fucking cool. I was watching a breakdown video on New Rockstar, something I didn't notice the last couple episodes. In that main control room that they're all in for the briefing room or whatever, the Fortress Inquisitorius, where there's like a red kind of like display panel surrounding the room that kind of looks like what I have with my shoes and controllers up here. It's just a bunch of lightsabers and Padawan helmets.
They have trophies. It's all trophies. And some of those trophies are recognizable.
Shout out to the first Jedi who Obi saw in that tomb, which I think is implied to be Terrace Nube from Clone Wars.
Yes, definitely. Like he's the one that looked the most. I think it was Terrace Nube. There was definitely Thissapasian, like Oppo Rancis, looked like he was in there, but I don't think it actually was Oppo Rancis. And then there was an Ongri in there who looked like Coleman Kadge from Revenge of the Sith, the guy from the Jedi Council, but I don't think that was supposed to be Coleman Kadge. But I love that they're bringing this in because the Jedi Tomb is something that they talk about in Rebels as well. And so the fact that they are capturing these people and kind of freezing them is, and the fact that they're bringing that into the live action lore here makes me so happy.
But also, because it's like so heartbreaking, man, to actually see it. Like, I can hear it being talked about, but to actually have it be thrown in my face, especially like when one of the younglings is also there too. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, man.
Freaking terrifying. Because how do they decide? Well, we just need to round them up and either turn them or kill them.
Yeah.
But like, some of you were just going to freeze and keep forever.
That's my thing that I'm really interested in. And I might be totally wrong about this, but with all the kind of signs that we've seen of this live action Filoni verse, and I know Filoni isn't like the guy for this show in particular, but like the storylines that they're building with everything, like we're getting to the whole, the Clone Era Part 2, right? So not the Clone Wars, but kind of like building out, like figuring out how Palpatine ends up getting back. Like, I wonder if this is them as the earliest point that we've seen so far, kind of setting that up where maybe like they are freezing these Jedi's bodies for like something
weird
to eventually become the Snoke situation that we see in the future.
Oh, they do in experiments,
which I think that's a really kind of compelling storyline. And again, we say this a lot, but like they're going to have to do to the sequels what they did to the prequels via the use of these shows, which is kind of filling in the gaps and trying to make them as good as they possibly can, you know?
Yeah, I really enjoyed seeing that, and I really enjoyed because of the tomb, and now that we've had the path, we had Quinlan Vos mentioned last week. Shout out Quinlan Vos. But I love that there's this idea. I also love this idea that in the original trilogy, there were some Jedi running around that were like, we're building like a Jedi covert ops here, which is very exciting to me. We're building this idea of like Jedi who were on the sidelines, who aren't your Luke Skywalker, who aren't your big face of the rebellion, who are like getting down and dirty and like making things happen in the galaxy, and you don't know they've been there. And those stories are fun to me too. And the idea that we could be telling more of those makes me really happy.
Yeah, 100%. I want to go back to loop around to Reva this episode because Tim, that was something that you liked this episode, and I definitely I enjoyed of seeing how she carried herself, especially in like the first part of interrogating Leia and stuff, and trying to be a little more cool, calm, collected, and you know, like manipulating her into giving her information and stuff like that. And then the build up to like, you know what, fuck it, like we're going straight on torture. Like tell me the information now. I thought all of that works really well, and to kind of
her temper, man. I love every time her temper goes off.
It's so good. And I love we didn't get as many reactions from the other Inquisitors, but I love when they're like, yo, cool it. Like you're being a little too much right now.
Dude, I love like Fifth Brother, who is just like every time something like he obviously wants to be like Vader's right hand, but obviously he also just doesn't want Reva to wind up in that position, which I love. The fact that they're all terrified that Reva is going to end up in that position and there's nothing they can do to stop it. And every time they try to stop it, she gets closer to being in that position. They're just like, things are going to be so bad. Things are going to be so bad.
It's one of those things, and you're also talking about Carboni of like them setting up for reveals and stuff in this last 2 episodes, and I agree. Like that doesn't have to be the last 2 episodes, especially when, again, and maybe I'm just thinking about it in the wrong way, but especially with these 6-episode Disney Plus shows, like I feel like you should structure your story where you have like this episode. I feel like we could have had more of the what happened to her specifically. And that was more of the stuff that I was looking for this episode to help distract from, hey, we got to save Leia again, because then it serves of like learning more of her backstory and stuff like that. And, you know, we're
just let us open a little present.
Yeah.
Well, every episode, let us open a little
Just
present.
A little
Doesn't
bit
need to be
more.
the main present.
Yeah. And we got a tiny crumb of like, you know, no one was there for me and stuff. Just like, you know, no one's here for you right now. I'm talking to Leia. But it just was like, I need a little bit more than that, and stuff like that. So that was like actually like one of my my gripes about it, where I was like, they did enough with Reva to make me continue to like her as a character, but not enough, especially with what they've set up in the first half of the show, to be like, yeah, we got like exactly what I wanted out of this episode. And that was.
And I do want to say, I'm a little bummed at people who are mixing up the idea that we're not getting enough about Reva's character and mixing it up with Moses Ingram's performance. You know what I mean? Because there are a lot of people that are doing that,
Carboni.
where they're just like, we're not getting enough from Moses Ingram. And I'm like, Moses Ingram is giving you everything she is allowed to give at this point. Like characters are about subtext and story and finding out what made these characters who they are. And right now, she's not allowed to give much of that stuff up. All we can see is through her boiling temper, her trying to like keep herself under control, the little hints that she's given in the script. And so I think that does kind of a disservice to her as an actor and a performer. What I will say about that scene is I love baby Leia's "let me speak to the manager" fucking energy.
I thought you were going to give a shout out to her. The littlest handcuffs I've ever seen.
Manacles? Oh my God. The tiniest manacles and the tiniest little attitude. I am a princess of Alderaan. How dare you?
I mean, it's the same. Again, this is, we were talking about like how this, Tim, you were talking about, it's a little bit of prequel vibes. It's a little bit of rescuing her off of the Death Star in A New Hope. That moment was straight up like when Vader gets her at the beginning of A New Hope, and she's like, I'm on a diplomatic mission. Like, you can't do this to me kind of shit.
No, but the difference is she's a scared little baby.
Yeah.
And she knows what she's supposed to say. But when Reva's like, I'm going to hook you up to the bad machine that hurts. You know, you see that look on her face. That's like, but I said the thing I was supposed to say.
Yeah,
you know, she's got this great thing that she's doing as a child, where her haughtiness does come a bit from her, from being raised in a bubble. But she has all of, she understands all of the things that like Bail Organa and her and like has taught her about being the right kind of person. So it's like, hey, we don't treat people or droids badly. If you're ever captured, people are going to try to capture you. People are going to try. You just tell them that you're a princess of Alderaan. She only knows all this stuff. And I love that. I love that the galaxy just keeps testing her. You know what I mean? And she just keeps rising to it because she is little Leia.
To really build out, like, to help build out of like where we see her in you know, A New Hope and other stuff around like that era of A New Hope to fully understand. Like that was never like something that like we weren't sold on, especially with Carrie Fisher's performance of like, oh yeah, she's seen some shit. She's, you know, she's been doing this for a while. But I love that we like after all this time, we're actually getting to see some of those adventures of like why she is like the kind of the hardened princess turned general that we've known her to be.
There are these things that they, you know, we talked about this a lot. They've got a bottle full of golf balls, and they're trying to fill it with gravel and sand until every part of this story is filled. And sometimes that really backfires on them. And sometimes we're like, well, I don't need to know why Kluby Blotti was there in the background of this scene in this one episode of this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need the Ballad of Kluby Blotti, you know?
Yeah.
But when it works in moments like this, it really does just exactly what they want it to, which is give you the context and the feeling, and it only enhances to me adult Leia in the original trilogy. Everything this little girl is doing, I think, is enhancing Leia for me at the very least.
I'm right there with you. I do think, though, that 4 episodes into this, and just knowing how the episodes have went so far, where we have rescued Leia multiple times now, I am a little bit worried about not only this having run its course, but that they did the thing. That
Right.
they're risking going a little too far. Because the beautiful moment of her holding Obi-Wan's hand, I think that is kind of the peak of this, right? Where it's like there's a friendship between them. There is a care and an understanding, and it's like, cool, you guys did the thing. Don't push this too far, because I think that it's at that brink. And my bigger concern that I could be totally wrong about, but we have 2 episodes left. Where are they going from here? Are we going to go back to Tatooine? I really hope we don't get Luke involved in some crazy shit. And I get a fear that we're going to. Like, I get the fear that they're going to connect it a little bit too much with Obi-Wan and Luke. I'm hoping we don't see Luke until the very end.
Yeah, I get that fear. I'm not feeling like they will. I think the handhold, you're right, that's the end of the Leia part of this story, or at least the major part of the Leia. She's still going to be around, but I think that, you know, they were trying to draw Obi-Wan out. They're trying to trap him using Leia. Leia is secondary to them. The only reason they wanted to capture Leia again was like, now they know that there's this path of Jedi. So I think now the next 2 episodes are full on. This is revenge hours. We know where he is. We've found him. We know he's a weak baby man now, and we will get him. And I think these next 2 episodes are going to focus very heavily on Reva, Vader, Obi-Wan, and we're going to find out this. And man,
yeah, we got to get him. He's gonna come
at the very end, right?
He's coming in at. I've said this since we did our trailer reactions, I think, to this show. He's coming in at the end of episode 5, and maybe we only hear his voice at the end of episode 5, where like we're gonna get another Obi moment where he's, you know, kind of more connected. Yeah, he's more connected to the.
What's up, dog?
Yeah, he's more connected to the Force now than he was at the beginning of the show, and he's gonna be like, Master Qui-Gon. And we get like,
he's like, "What's up? I'm hanging out with young Lando right now. I don't have time."
Just a long enough pause where you're like, "Oh man," and then you hear Obi, and then it cuts to black, and then we get a conversation with them at the beginning of the last episode. That is 100%.
Do you think it happens before? I mean, it's going to happen at a pivotal Anakin Obi-Wan duel moment, right?
Yes, I think
something is going to mirror. Something is going to mirror the episode 1 death of Qui-Gon. They're either fighting on a platform. They're behind one of these airlocks that they can open with their mind, these force locks. What is happening that mirrors it, that makes Qui-Gon show up in the moment? You know what I mean? I think or is it that 1-to-1, or is it just in a moment when Obi-Wan is looking like he's going to lose this battle, and he finally.
I don't think it happens during a battle. I think it's going to happen in a moment where he knows that he's going to have to face Anakin again. Mm-hmm. Whereas like last time when in episode 3, right, of the show, you know, it was a little bit unexpected for him, and like that moment of shock where he's like, "Oh my God, he's here." I think maybe terrifying. This time, or like they actually like maybe he knows that, you know, Lola's being tracked, the little droid, and kind of uses that to his advantage and knows that Vader is coming. Like, he's a little more prepared, and because of that, he's going to be like hopefully one last try to talk to Qui-Gon, to talk about, like, yo, man, you told me to raise this kid, and look where he's at now. Like, I need some sort of guidance, because I feel like the last time you tried to guide me, it led me here.
Dude couldn't even move agreeably. It was so sad.
I
There was some little
know.
techie something. I don't know if it was a comlink or if it was just supposed to be some sort of little greebly, but he couldn't even move it, man. Like, the only time he was able to connect was when he was trying to save Leia, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's rough to see Obi Wan like this. To see Obi Wan, I mean, I know I wasn't here, and I hate to backtrack too much, but the fact that we're at a point where Obi Wan's got to keep his mouth shut because he's in a truck with 4 stormtroopers in it was like, this is scary. Like, we're at a scary point, you know. And I was a little like, does it need to be a Qui-Gon moment before the show even happened? Do we need a Qui-Gon moment? But yes, I think we do now, and I really hope we see it.
I think that this show in particular, having watched it now, set that up. Like, I feel like we didn't necessarily need it. We just wanted it before. We need it now because he's been trying to reach out to him. And I'm with Barrett. I think that the first time we hear him, it's going to be more of like a prep for the fight. And I think we might hear him during the fight. But I also wouldn't be surprised if we hear him more after the fight, like a before and after. I think we'll hear him once, and I do think we'll see him in Force Ghost form.
Oh, like a little. Do you think we'll get a little whisper like Rey got from Obi-Wan? Do you remember the steps? Do you remember that? We'll get a little whisper.
Maybe, yeah. Final question.
Maybe allude to Obi-Wan being related to you, and then do nothing with it. Really quick before your final question, just moments that I want to just shout out. There was the Leia, Reva's trying to read Leia, and she's like, is this a staring contest? Fucking fantastic.
So good.
There was something else. Reva carrying herself around Leia. Time to make those tears real. What a great quote. Where was it? There was let's see, just shouting out to Tala and like how she bullshit her way into the Inquisitoria's fortress was
it was great. Like a mobile game ad because she's like trying to bullshit like it was like level 1 bullshitting an officer, level 50 bullshitting the Grand Inquisitor.
The pose that Obi-Wan does the first time, like he's brings out the lightsaber and he does the little like flip. That's like a classic Obi thing to do that I absolutely loved. Leia hiding in plain sight in Obi's like big cloak thing at the end, fucking hilarious. The Vader scene, because we didn't really talk about it, awesome. Just the way that she knows that like Reva, like they understand that like this did not go our way, and you immediately hear his breathing, and he is coming in hot. Like, I don't know if we've ever seen Vader walk at this pace before, but it was like a holy shit, this is scary. And the way he
were warned what your failure would bring. It's like, oh shit.
Another fantastic quote. Just fucking fantastic. And just I love the way that she's still bargaining of the I let him go, I did it on purpose kind of thing. And like, I agree with you, Tim. I didn't love that it was a tracker. I was hoping that it was more of like she's lying about the tracker and she's just gonna try to make it up from here. I thought that would have been more interesting, but
so real quick on
two for a second.
Sorry, what you said?
I said I thought that too for a second.
Yeah, and I thought it because, and this is an interesting thing that I hope that they kind of get somewhere interesting with her character. I like that so far they presented her as this like compulsive liar. Like every scene we've seen her in, like that she's the main person, like with a monologue, she's lying. Like she lied to Vader about how the Grand Inquisitor died. She lied.
She's doing it to survive. It's a survival skill for her.
She lied that Obi-Wan was killed. And here she is. I thought she was going to be lying about the tracker device. So that's why when it was revealed that it was on Lola, I was like,
yeah, I was like, lame.
This kind of, I don't really vibe with. But the question to go around the table to end the show here.
Yeah.
Do we get?
Can I say one thing? I'm waiting for two things. I'm waiting for two things to happen.
Go.
I'm waiting for well, actually the biggest one. I'm waiting for this show to end with Leia refusing Jedi training. I'm waiting because she is clearly force sensitive. Things are happening. Obi-Wan is starting to notice it. I want to see little Leia maybe do a little force something and then refuse training because she's decided that, or because either her parents or she decides that she would be better used elsewhere. That is my big thing, and I'm waiting for it because even the Inquisitor can't read her brain, And I'm just waiting for people to realize. I'm waiting for people to realize.
I feel like they can't do it.
Yeah.
Leia can't be aware that she has it until way later.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, who knows who knows when she figured it out?
Yeah.
And maybe they do keep it from her. Maybe it's a discussion between Bail and
Okay, yes.
Obi-Wan.
That
where
would
it's
work
like-
for me.
That
'Cause
would
the
work
thing
for
to
me
me is like
personally.
I feel like in Empire when she like felt that Luke needed help or whatever, like
Yeah.
that she still didn't know was the Force. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like you got to stay within that canon at least a bit.
That's true.
What's your second thing?
I forget now. Go ahead with your question.
The question is, we're getting a rematch between Vader and Obi-Wan. It's all but confirmed. Is it on Mustafar or is it somewhere else?
Oh,
I think it has to be.
hold on. I need to reconfirm something really quick. I need to
Man.
go to disneyplus.com. I needed to work and load quick enough. I need
Sure.
to
Because
go
there was
to-
concept art that looked like them.
Oh, see, I'm thinking of let's go to the Obi-Wan show.
Potentially.
See,
I mean, I would love that as a bookend. And I don't really.
the
But did they
banner
bookend that enough
have,
with the dragging Obi-Wan through the fire?
The banner that they have at least is Vader with his lightsaber on, facing Obi-Wan. It does look a little bit closer to the planet that they fought on in Episode 3, but it's daytime.
Here's what I'm going to say. There is that artwork that we still haven't seen, that promotional photo. We have not heard Anakin Skywalker's voice. We have not seen Anakin Skywalker fight Obi-Wan, and we've seen that promotional art and photo where the top of the helmet is off. I do believe there is a fight on Mustafar, and I think it's between Anakin and Obi-Wan. I don't think he's wearing the Vader helmet.
I would agree with that, especially because they've set up like they're in the Mustafar system and stuff like that. Like they're around, they're close.
Yeah,
and it's gonna have to end in a way where Vader is no longer hunting him, right?
Yeah.
Because
which
at
is
least
going to be
that's-
interesting.
That's gonna
That's
be
it.
interesting
How do you
because
figure
that's
that
how
out?
it's because that's something in A New Hope where they Vader's almost surprised to feel Obi-Wan. There's the implication when he's talking to Tarkin of like he's been dead for years and stuff like that. Like but again, in the original context of that movie, it sounded like Leia didn't even know who Obi-Wan was really, except through her dad and her dad telling her stories. So. I don't know. They're gonna have to play loosey goosey with it. Maybe it'll be.
Let's
it'll be
get Lucy,
interesting.
baby.
Yeah.
Let's have
Let's
some
get-
fun.
I'd
Let
like
us
it to be
know-
Lucy and Goosey.
Let us know in the comments below what you thought about episode 4 of Obi-Wan. We will hopefully return next week with the entire squad. But until then, Carboni, where can people find you?
Oh, my stars and garters. Thanks for asking, Tim. You can find me everywhere on the internet at A Carboni, except for on Twitch, where I'm at Anthony Carboni. Yeah, you'll find out from there where else I am.
Hell yeah. Love you all. Goodbye.